Hello, welcome to another Tonalist landscape oil painting demonstration with your painter in residence, M. Francis McCarthy, and I'm bringing you a painting today that I did back in 2016. It's called Waning Day, and I honestly thought that I had put this painting up on YouTube. I'm really very fond of it, and I thought it was quite a good painting, but I think it must have fallen through the cracks. So I sold this out of my studio very recently, and I told the lovely person that bought it that I would send them a video. I've been looking around for it, and I was thinking, geez, I guess I didn't actually do a YouTube video for this painting. So I'm doing one, and here you go. Now, 2016, I was working on the burnt sienna background instead of the burnt umber that I work on now. And one of the things I really liked about working on the burnt sienna was that it would give me the ability, I mean, as you can see, I'm doing a bit of a drawing or underpainting with my brush, but a lot of times I could go in and do a little more drawing with charcoal. I can't do that anymore because the burnt umber is so much darker, but you know, I worked on the burnt sienna for about 6 years, and I'm going on my second year there. You can see the charcoal drawing. Going on maybe going into my first year, the end of my first year maybe, or just going into starting my second year on the burnt umber. And I really like the burnt umber still. It just, I don't know, it's different, and it resonates, and so much of my process is intuitive. Now, one of the great things about the working on the burnt sienna was that I could leave little bits peeking through in the sky, and I have to be a little more careful with the burnt umber because the burnt umber is much darker. So although if you look at my recent output, you will see bits of burnt umber peeking out in the sky too, and it actually doesn't seem to bother me too much, but they've got to be pretty small bits, I guess I'll say that. A lot of times too, I could, if I had a rosy tone that I was doing, I could just go very thin over the burnt sienna, whereas, or a lot of times I'll do that in greens in the grass as well. Just go very thin, but I can't do anything very thin over the burnt umber. And if I do paint very thin, I notice it, and I've got to, because I do a bit of paint scraping of the painting down, and I've got a couple in the studio waiting to be worked on now for a second pass, where you can see too much of the background color coming through. And well, there's trade-offs no matter what you do. I mean, if you're working on white, for example, then you have to be extra careful to make sure everything's covered, or you need to rub down your canvas with a you know, a good solid color wash or something like that, because nothing's more distracting than little bits of white peeking out. Anyway, today is June 14th, and funny enough, it's probably I think this painting was done back in June of 2016, and like I say, I'm very fond of it. And I did a 10 by 14 as well, which came out fairly good too. The 5 by 7 I probably like better, and that happens sometimes. I don't always worry about doing small studies for my larger paintings now. Recently I've done some 5 by 10s, which I've got to do some photography on and get them in the upcoming show I have at the Quarry Arts Center. Now, if you follow my channel and you're local to my area here in New Zealand, please come to the show. The opening's on Friday the 22nd at 5 o'clock, and yeah, I know several people that have collected my work are gonna come, and I'm so pleased about that. It really feels good to have people that enjoy and support what you do. Pardon me, a bit of a frog in my throat. I just came from the dentist, so if I seem a little bit lispy, I apologize for that, but I had a note here to send this video to this lovely person that bought a painting, and I thought, well, since I'm home, I had to come get the dog. I would look into this before jumping into the rest of my day, and discovered that, lo and behold, I never actually put it up on YouTube, and here it is. It's going to be here now, and hopefully you're enjoying it. Now, this another thing about this painting, you can see how I'm doing a bit of a I finally figured out that some of the elements in the background had to be faded out a bit more than I was doing, and photos will lie to you about this sort of thing. You need to install this either manually in Photoshop when preparing your reference, or you need to do it when you're doing the painting. And if it's not done in Photoshop, then I make sure that I get it done in the painting. And a lot of times I actually, when I'm looking at things and sometimes fixing up paintings that I've done, that's one of the first things I'll do, is just do a scumble over the background elements to push them back. And I don't know why, but for years I didn't really, I mean, I was aware of the technique, I just I wasn't seeing it, I wasn't getting it. And what are you going to do? You know, you just learn and you get better, and that is the great thing about doing art and being an artist, is the progression. And although I have to say, I've done standout paintings at every point in my painting career that were really as good as anything I do now. I'd have to say this one is one of them, actually. I think it's just as good as anything I'm doing now. I really love the colors in the sky, and the overall feel and composition of the painting, I think, is really good. And it was definitely one of the standouts from back in 2016. Yay! 2 years ago. That's the other thing. Everything. Time is flying, man. Boy, it doesn't seem like that was that long ago, but it's all catching up. So in the studio right now, I have been, I've done a few little mini paintings. I did a redo earlier in the week. I've had a few issues with actually getting a whole lot of painting done and doing preparation for this upcoming show, but I'm planning on, actually this afternoon, I'm planning on getting in there working on a print, so I won't be painting today either, but I've been putting off working on this print. I like doing the prints, but I like painting more. If left to my own devices, this is why I don't do a whole lot of marketing, and I don't do a whole lot of things that would help me sell more paintings, is because I just want to paint. I just want to paint, and the more I can paint, the better I get, and the better I get, the more I like painting, and so on and so forth. And I've been meaning, actually, the good thing about this is I've been meaning to do some, I have a bit of a backlog of things that I need to photograph, and this is one of the reasons why I haven't put up any midweek videos. I do have a folder full of redos that I can always put a video up with, but I just haven't been feeling it. I've been wanting to do things that are more from the ground up, like this painting, and so this worked out real well. And since I do have to do some photography this weekend, that'll mean good news for you if you're a fan of the channel, because it'll mean there'll be some new fresh things for me to share. Now, and the other thing, it's sort of been, that problem's been kind of exacerbated by the fact that I took a big break out to do past masters stuff, so I didn't have other things on my easel to share with you. And I've debated maybe doing multiple past masters in a week, but I don't think that's a good idea. I think it's better to space them out, even though they are popular. I know people like them. Anyway, well, this video is a little long today, isn't it? Jeez, sorry about that. I guess I could talk about colors. I'm clearly using, I'm using black in this, not my transparent chromatic black mixture that I was painting with for a long time. Also, you can notice that there are holes through some of the trees, and I paint them in because they might be in a reference, but then I plug them in because they don't work, and it's just a good example of things you learn as you progress and get better. It's good to have a bit of light coming through the tree, but if you have too many of these sky holes, you can get this kind of Swiss cheese effect, and it distracts the viewer of the painting, and it doesn't work. And it doesn't work for me anyway. I guess I shouldn't make blanket statements for the rest of the landscape painting community. Anyway, I see we're getting close to the end. New subscribers, thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. I really appreciate it. Old subscribers, you guys rock. I absolutely adore you, and thank you so much for staying around and following what I do. I will keep the content coming. I have lots of new things that I want to put up on the channel, and I still absolutely, even after I think it's been 3 years now, I still love sharing my work with you. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to post in the comments section, or send me an email. Also, if you're subscribed, make sure you've got the little bell icon clicked next to the subscription. That way you get notified when I put a video up. And why not click the like button while you're here? Anyway, we'll see you real soon with another video. Meanwhile, take good care and stay out of trouble.